Hi everyone, welcome to another CYT live show. My name is Stephen Aitchison and I'm going to be your host for today. I'm going to talk about something really important today. And a lot of you are not going to like it. I have to warn you, a lot of you are not going to like this, but it is extremely important. And I want to talk about it from different kind of point of view. So if you just bear with me a second, I'm just going to log into Facebook, see if we have everybody on. And we have a few people on, at least we're live today. I don't think we've any technical difficulties today, which is cool, which is good. Okay, who have we got in the house just now? We have Jigam Eric Chembuin is in, Demetrius Bell is in, Jennifer Futrell is in, Estella Munoz, Rachel Kelly, hope you're doing well, Rachel. Maria Flynn is in the house. Hello, I already know I'm going to like it. I think a lot of people are going to like it, a lot of people are not going to like it, but it's extremely important. Estella Munoz have said, Tom Patini is in the house as well, Jeannie Gregspur is in, Kimberly ID Man is in the house as well, welcome to you. Stephanie Harris Kerrick is in, Elle Summers joined us as well, welcome to you Elle, great talk yesterday, and I hope you're enjoying the kind of program we're talking about. I just started it. Listened to it for 15 minutes. Esther Lopez is in, Marianne Baker. Laurie Emmett has joined us as well, our new community manager. Welcome to you. Debbie Wisecup Wells is in as well. So we've got a lot of people in just now. Okay, as I said, this is really important. I was really hesitant. I was going to do this last week and I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to talk about it. But it's getting to a stage where we can no longer ignore it. This thing that's coming, this big change that's happening right now, that a lot of people, you've probably heard about it in the news and things like that, but a lot of people are just kind of dismissing it as a bit of a fad. But honestly, you have to trust me when I say this is going to change the way we live our lives, this thing that's happening just now. But first, I want to look at the process of change, because this is extremely important, the process of change. And I want to go over it from a model point of view, and this is a model kind of proposed when I was doing kind of addiction, when I was working in alcohol and drug kind of abuse area. I was helping people with alcohol and drug issues. We used this model a lot, and it's from two guys called 20 years ago called DiClemente and Prochaska, and it's the kind of stages of change model. And what it looks at the different stages of change from an alcoholic's point of view. However, we're going to use this model to look at change from any kind of perspective, any change we want to make in our life. A lot of us go through these different stages. And then what I'm going to talk about after that is this world-changing thing that's happening right now. A lot of people don't know about it, a lot of people have heard about it, and a lot of people are really into it just now. So the cycle of change by, as I said, DiClemente and Prochaska, 20 years ago looking at alcoholism, but we kind of look at change, any aspect of change, whether we want to exercise, whether we want to lose weight, whether we want to start something new, a new job or something. We all kind of go through these changes, these stages of change. So the first stage of change is pre-contemplation. And really what pre-contemplation is, somebody's not even thinking about changing their behaviour. They might know or heard that they should have changed. So I'm going to give you a real world example. So for example, if you know you're kind of overweight, and you kind of know you have to do something about it, but you're not really thinking about doing anything about it. You're not thinking about kind of going on an eating plan or changing your dietary habits or going to the gym or going out for more walking or getting more exercise. You know it's not good for you being overweight, but you're not thinking about any change. That's the pre-contemplative stage of the stages of change model. So we all kind of go through this, whatever kind of change we're thinking about making in our life. Now, the next stage is the contemplation stage. So the contemplation stage, using the same example, saying, okay, I'm overweight. I know, and I have to be honest, I'm going through this stage just now. I'm going through these stages with kind of losing a wee bit of weight. I only need to lose about 7 pounds to 10 pounds or something. But I'm going through this kind of stages of change model just now with the weight thing as well. So I'm not talking about being hugely obese. I'm just talking about kind of being overweight, but it could be talking about obesity as well. So the contemplation stage is whereby you think, okay, I need to lose weight. And this is the time I know I need to do something about this. And what am I going to do? You're starting to think about what actions you could actually do. So you're thinking, okay, well, I could go on a different eating plan. I could stop eating potato chips. I could just cut out sugar altogether. Or I could cut out not the fatty stuff, because some fats are really good for you as well. And it's been proven that as well. But you're cutting out, or you're cutting down on the amount you kind of take. And then you might be thinking about, okay, I could go out a walk for 15 minutes a day, extra. Or I could just start walking for 15 minutes a day. Cut down on the food, and that's all I need to do. So you're kind of thinking about it. You're contemplating the changes that you need to make. Now, the next stage of change is determination. That's a commitment to action. So this is the third stage in the change model. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a diet starting tomorrow. A lot of people say I'm going to do that starting tomorrow. You start today. Just today is the best day to start anything. If you're going to start anything, just start today. So what you're doing is you're committing to taking action. You say, okay, I'm going to go out for a walk for 15 minutes every single day. So you start going out walks. You're going to cut down on your intake of the foods that could be making, or you could say, okay, just start and say, okay, I'm just going to cut down on bread. I'm not going to eat any bread at all. And that's all I'm going to do. That's still a commitment to action. So you're just cutting out bread altogether, because bread is really bad for you. It's not good for you at all, bread. Particularly when you're trying to lose weight, but it kills your kind of insides as well. It twists the guts. But that is you taking action on your commitment. So it's a determination stage. The next stage would be for you're implementing the plan. So you're doing it, and you're regularly doing it. So for the last 2 weeks, you've been going out a walk for 15 minutes. You've never eaten any bread at all for that. And you're thinking about kind of adding to the plan as well. And you say, okay, I've cut out bread. I'm going to cut out sugar from my diet now as well. I'm not going to have any sugar in my coffee. I'm going to watch the sugar intake in my foods as well. I'm going to read the labels. That's you implementing the plan and taking further action on it as well. So you're taking action and you're implementing the plan. So that's the fourth stage of the change model. Now, the next stage is maintenance, relapsing, and recycling. And this is a really important stage. So what happens is people maintain this kind of way of life. Again, we'll use the kind of just being overweight as an example. So they maintain that for 4 weeks, and they've cut out sugar, they've cut out bread, but then they go back to, there's a weekend, and they've went out maybe for a drink or something, for a meal, and they've started eating bread and pasta and stuff like that again. So they've kind of relapsed, and then when they're back home, they've eaten more bread, they've had the kind of sugar again in the coffee, or they've started drinking the fizzy drinks as well. That's some kind of relapsing. Again, but it's really important. It's not to say you failed. Everybody kind of relapses and realizes, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to do this. I don't want to fall back into this trap again. And then they kind of get out of it again. So they go through that cycle again. So they're going through the 5 stages starting from the beginning again, except they probably miss out the pre-contemplation stage. So it's important to think about, and when I was working in kind of alcohol and drugs, most people relapsed, but that's a very important stage, because when you relapse, you get that kind of guilt feeling, you feel shit, and you just kind of hate yourself for it, for relapsing, but then it gives you more motivation and impetus to go back to start making the change again. So you might go through the cycle 4, 5, 6, 7 times, however many times it is, but as long as you're trying. And there's a last stage that wasn't in the original stages of model, or stages of change model, and that's a termination stage. And the termination stage is whereby, if you've given away, so you've just gone into a habit of eating the new way. So you've cut out bread, you just no longer eat bread, you don't even think about it. You don't crave it, you don't think about it. Same with sugar. You've cut out sugar, you don't crave it, you don't think about it. Sweets, you don't think about them at all. It's just something you don't do anymore. That's a termination stage. So you're just being a healthy person, or you're just being kind of really watching what you're putting into your body, and it no longer affects you, and you no longer have the cravings. And you're exercising, and when you miss the exercising, If you don't do it for one day, there's something missing in your life, so you know you need to do it, or you do it every single day. Go out that walk, go to the gym, just keeping fit in general. You just start to enjoy the process of what you've been doing for the last 6 months, 3 months, a month, whatever. So that is a termination stage. Now, as I said, this model of change was about alcoholism, but it can be looked at from any kind of point of change you want to make in your life. And this brings me to what's happening right now. So what's happening right now is there's something happening in the world called cryptocurrencies. Now, I want you to look at this. This is not from an investment point of view or a financial point of view or anything like that. This is from a different, looking at the model we've just kind of spoken about just now, is we're looking at this from a different point of view. Because cryptocurrencies are not going away. And when I talk about cryptocurrencies, if you don't know what it's about, it's like Bitcoin. You've heard about it in the news, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, things like that. Bitcoin is probably the most famous one. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are going to change the way we live. Whether you deny it or not, whether you kind of think about it or just think it's just a fad or it's just an investment tool for people to make money, or people are going to lose money because there's been a recent crash and things like that as well. Trust me, it's not just an investment tool. This is going to change the way we do things. If you think about the internet, when you very first heard about the internet, when you very first heard about it, you didn't really understand it. You thought, what is the internet? What is that funny @ symbol that kind of people have? What is email? What does email do? When you first think about that back in the 80s, the late 80s, when it first kind of came out and people were talking about it, this is what kind of stage we're at with cryptocurrencies. And yet, internet has changed the way we live our life. Totally changed the way we live our life. For better and for worse. Sometimes. But you get that in every stage of life, every walk of life. So think about that. Think about mobile phones. What did you do without a mobile phone before mobile phones came along as well? Mobile phones have changed the way we live our life. Literally. Since they came out. They've changed the way the smartphones that are out just now. We can't do without our smartphones. Well, some people can, but there's people that have to force themselves not to take the phone outside so they're not looking at it all the time. And I even heard kind of stories of chiropractors. They're now seeing people with neck problems because people are bent down so much looking at their phones. So they're now seeing people with kind of upper vertebrae problems in the kind of neck region. And that's the chiropractors. So it's kind of weird the things that kind of come along because of this. But mobile phones have changed the way we live. Internet has changed the way we live. Cryptocurrencies is going to be even bigger than those two put together. It's going to change our whole monetary system. So in 10, 15, 20 years' time, we're not going to have paper money. We're not going to have dollars anymore. It's going to be digital, and it's going to be on a card, and it's going to be in a machine, but it's not going to be paper money. It's not backed by the government, and the government are going to change over to cryptocurrencies as well. Now, I know you're going to think, yeah, right, that's not going to happen. You have to believe me, it is going to happen. It's happening right now. And right now, most people are at the pre-contemplation stage of that change model that I was talking about. So they kind of know about it, but they know they don't need to make it, or they don't think they need to make any changes. They don't think that this is going to affect them at all. A lot of people are in the contemplation stage. They're thinking, they want to find out more about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, so they start researching it online, start watching videos, and I'm going to show you a video just now as well, and kind of looking at it from another point of view. So a lot of people are at the contemplation stage, and now with myself, I'm kind of really into the action stage. I've taken action, I've gone into it, researched it a ton, and the deeper I go down the rabbit hole, the more certain I become this is going to change the world, and it's changing just now. You just don't know it yet. And I want to show you a video just now. I know a lot of people are not going to like this. A lot of people are probably going to turn off from this video as well. Not because they don't understand it, or not because, for whatever reason, I know a lot of people are not going to like it and going to turn off from watching this live show. But I tell you it from a point of view is from because it is going to affect you. It's going to affect your children. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect your family, your mum and dad. It's going to affect everybody, because the way we live our lives is not going to be, but it's not going to be the same, but the monetary system is going to be totally different. The way you do insurance, the way you buy a house is going to be totally different. Everything is going to change, and it's all down to cryptocurrencies. Now, I'm not saying this for you to invest in my program. It's nothing to do with that. It's from your point of view and thinking about you, and most people don't know about it. I'm just trying to help people kind of know more about it. So with that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a video from James Altucher, and he's he's kind of got a brilliant mind. He's a kind of comedian, but he's also an investor. He's also a kind of businessman. He's an author and stuff like that as well. And he kind of sums it up quite beautifully, to be honest, as kind of things that he talks about. And I just think this is really interesting. So I'll play the video and then we'll get back to you, see if you have any questions or anything. Hopefully you're going to get something out of this. And from what I'm talking about as well, hopefully you're going to get, and you're not just going to switch off and just kind of bury your head in the sand. But we'll play the video just now.
Here we have with us James Altucher. He is an entrepreneur, investor, writer, podcast show, and comedian. He just had a panel speaking about cryptocurrencies. So what we'd like to ask you is, there's this new landscape of cryptocurrencies, and investors are getting interested in it. If they are interested, why? And if they aren't, why should they be interested in cryptocurrencies?
Well, it's such an interesting question, because we're talking about right now today. So everybody thinks, oh my God, if I put $1 in cryptocurrencies, I'm going to be a billionaire like in 5 years. And because because there's so much hype and there's so much bubble talk right now about Bitcoin and all these other cryptocurrencies. So let me answer the question at a high level first. Cryptocurrencies are not a fad. They're extremely important. They're probably the most innovative thing to come out of Silicon Valley in the past 30 years, and that includes all the space stuff and electric car stuff and Google and everything. Like cryptocurrencies, when I kind of describe why that is, you'll see what I mean. The other thing is, on the opposite side, it's largely a scam. So many people are saying, there's all this bubble talk, like my cab driver wants to do an ICO or invest in Bitcoins. There's a lot of people who go into situations like that, and we saw it with the internet in the 90s, we saw it in housing in the middle O's, and we're seeing it now in the cryptos. There's a lot of people who go into the space and want to take advantage to basically get as much cheap and easy money as possible and leave the uninformed holding the bag. So how could that be? That it's both real and incredibly important, but I would say 95%, which is a big number, 95% a scam. Well, take a look at the internet. So the internet, huge gains from 1995 to 2000. Still, if you manage to invest in the internet in around 1996 or so and cash out in 2000, that's the bulk of your wealth, and that's the bulk of the wealth you'll ever make. And yet, most internet companies that started in that period are gone. I mean, what's left? Amazon, Yahoo, eBay, Priceline. I can't think of too many others.
That's a great point.
I would say 1,000 companies were a scam. I mean, companies would just take their name and put .com at the end of it, and their stock would go up 500% that day. That's a scam. So when you use something, when the price of something goes up for artificial reasons, it's because so many people are being influenced by greed and the hype. Value doesn't change so quickly. And yet, during that period for the internet, during the OOs for real estate, and now for not all cryptocurrencies, but many, there's largely a scam. So I can go at this from several directions. Like A, why is it important? Or B, how do you avoid the scams? Like what's happening in the space? One other point I want to make, if you don't mind. And this is a very important one. I didn't make this in my talk. I don't like the word cryptocurrency, because crypto, what do you think of when you think of crypto?
Right. It kind of has a negative connotation a little bit, right?
Almost negative, like But tell me, let's free associate. What else do you think of when you think
you
crypto?
think Crypt Keeper, you're thinking, kind
That's a
of,
good one. I didn't think of that.
going down kind of to the depths of things, kind of underground, I guess, a little
Yeah,
bit.
and I think math and technology, like cryptography, I think computer science, I think that something I don't understand is happening. And it's not like, nobody understands how the internet works, and yet you put your credit card into it every day and buy things, you buy toilet paper on Amazon now and it gets shipped overnight. You don't say to yourself, oh, Amazon is software on top of the TCP/IP protocol that I would like to use. You think Amazon's a store. Well, cryptocurrencies are at the very basics. It could get a little more complicated, but cryptocurrencies are currencies. So Amazon was a store that solved certain problems. I don't have to actually physically go to the store. I can search for items much more quickly than finding the right aisle and then something's misplaced and whatever. So Amazon solved a lot of problems that we had before the internet. Now, these, let's call them data currencies, or these new style of currencies, bitcoins or whatever, they solve many problems that traditional currencies have. And that's how I like to think of it. So let's just look at the history of money. I talked in my session about kind of the evolution of every industry and how cryptocurrencies fit into the evolution of money in that way. But let's just talk specifically about money. Money started off with barter, right? You made rice, I made shoes. I'll trade you a pair of shoes for 2 bags of rice. The problem is obvious. What if I only need a quarter bag of rice? What am I going to do? Give you a quarter shoe? So we had to all find something common to, change our, we all created wealth in different ways. You created it through rice, I created it through shoes. We had to translate that into some store of value that we can all understand. So gold was a metal that was hard to mine. It was scarce on the planet. And we kind of, as a world, chose gold. As a species, we chose gold and silver and some other precious metals. And we all started mining for gold. And then we would, as a store of value, we could move around with it. Like, you couldn't move around with bags of rice, but you could make gold into jewelry and travel around with it. And that's how you travel with your store of value. And then you can trade. We all understood, based on ounces of gold, we all understood how many shoes that bought, how much rice it bought, and it would change, and there was one exchange rate, gold to everything else. Now, gold has a problem. If you have a lot of wealth, or if a kingdom has a lot of wealth, and it needs to move, how would you do it? Or if you wanted to buy something big, would you need like a big chunk of gold? Like, gold had some major problems with both store of value and transactions. So enter in coins and then paper money. And paper money was backed by the government, which was backed by gold, until recently. Whether it was from the Egyptian government of the pharaohs to the U.S. government, gold was for a long time backed by, or precious metals were backed by, currency was backed by the precious metals that the government had. That changed, and instead we decided to focus on, let's just trust the government. Let's trust, in God we trust. In George Washington we trust. Oh, here's the Secretary of Treasury, his signature. Oh, here's an Egyptian pyramid with one eye, just in case you're into that. Like, let's trust that. And so overall, we grew to trust paper money, but there's still a lot of problems. For instance, you and I have a dollar bill in our pocket, but I don't know really what that dollar is worth. It could be worth just a piece of paper. What if somebody in Washington, D.C. decides to print up a quadrillion-dollar bills? Which is what happened in Germany in the 1920s, happened in Argentina, happened in Russia in the 90s, not so long ago. The currency will collapse. So you can't, there's the possibility of human error in a centralized government-backed currency. This is not an anti-government pitch, it's just a problem with money. Another problem with money is forgery. Now, we take a lot of steps to fix that, but it's still a problem. Another problem is double spending. I can use my credit card with you, I can use my credit card with you, and then I can call my credit card company and say, cancel that one, and just go with that one. So I could double spend. So there's another problem. Let's say I'm sending money to you, and you're in China. I have to go to the bank, they go to the local reserve bank, they go to the central bank, goes to the international wiring system, goes to the Chinese central bank, goes to the local reserve bank there, goes to your local bank in China, and there's a lot of potential, a lot of people in the middle a lot of potential for human error, a lot of transaction fees, and a lot of people watching. So there's no privacy. Like, if you do that, a lot of three-letter organizations are tracking your money if it's a big enough transaction. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the next evolution of how we solve. We're always trying to solve problems with money. Solving problems as a store of value and solving problems as a way to transact. And this is the basics of cryptocurrencies. There's much more, but that's the basics. That's why it's important. That's why it's important to start building a portfolio, because the demand for money is $150 trillion, but there's only about $200 billion worth of crypto. So that's 1,000%, 100,000% gain right there. So that's the basics of crypto. Now we get into these ICOs, which are like, okay, well, I want to make a coin that has a specific purpose. The purpose might be, maybe it'll solve a problem Bitcoin has, which is Bitcoin is anonymous, but not anonymous enough. So there are some currencies that make it more anonymous. There might be a coin that says, Bitcoin, it's hard to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin because it takes too long to verify a Bitcoin transaction. Here's a coin we figured out a software way to make it easier. And so here's another coin. So there's more and more uses of coins, and that's why there's more coins coming. Doesn't mean Bitcoin's bad. Just like there's the dollar, there's the Canadian dollar, there's pesos, there's euros. Those are all artificial borders. Cryptocurrencies have use borders. And again, that's where ICOs are coming from. The way to avoid a scam ICO is to make sure there's a good and big use, and to make sure there's no centralized, it doesn't have the same problems as government-backed currency. It's not centralized. There's no infinite printing at someone else's authority. So, as you explore this, make sure, it solves the basic problems that current money has. So that's in a nutshell. I'm sorry I took it all up and explained.
No, I literally didn't even have to keep, asking those questions. You gave us a great,
and I didn't want to touch technology at all, because you don't need to understand, I don't need to understand how a car is built to drive one across the street. Now, I myself will have an accident if I just drive it across the street. I don't have a driver's license, but most people are able to drive a car without understanding how a car works.
So, we talked about what it is, why it's got that value, why we're seeing, the difference in the currencies and the uses for it. Why should investors, though, really get involved in this now? I mean, why is it such a good time for investors to get involved? Well, a lot of people think, hey, maybe I missed the boat. Is that true? I mean, what do you think about that?
So that's two questions. I'll answer the second one first. Did they miss the boat? No. Now, it's true, all the gains of an innovative technology kind of happened in the beginning. So 1995 to 2000, you would have gained enormously if you invested in the internet. But it's not like the internet possibility stopped there. What happened after 2000? Facebook, Twitter, Uber, Airbnb, Google, went IPO'd after 2000. So I would say we're not in inning 0 anymore, but we're in inning 1. And huge gains are going to happen all the way up to inning 9, but the biggest gains are going to happen between inning 1 and inning 4. I don't know how you delineate the innings. I'm just using that as an analogy. But we're still early. And I'll tell you why we're early from a mathematical point of view. Again, what I said before. How much currency is in the world? 150 trillion. So that means the demand for money is $150 trillion. The world needs 150 trillion in money to survive. So, but all of that 150 trillion has all the problems I just described to you. Cryptocurrencies, which are only 200 billion, they solve those problems. So cryptocurrencies have to, and there's limited a number of them, so they have to rise in value to replace to handle the demand for money. The supply is low, the demand is high, price is just going to go higher. Your dad doesn't own any crypto, my parents don't own crypto. It's just the beginning, and there's many catalysts. I mean, there's catalysts that we don't yet know, but like one catalyst is, okay, Amazon at some point will start accepting cryptocurrencies. We know they will. At some point, the citizens of a country that's falling apart will say, hey, we don't want the XYZ currency anymore of our government. We're going to all switch to Bitcoin or crypto or whatever. And then at some point, a government itself will say, look, our default currency is now cryptocurrency. So there's at least those three catalysts, and then that's going to be, 1,000 times the value, of what we are currently seeing. Plus, there's going to be more use cases that we find, and that's going to create value. So I've been dabbling in it since 2013. I built a store to sell my book one of my books on Bitcoin, and then I got more seriously involved just this year in terms of buying it and getting into these initial coin offerings, ICOs. Again, I look for the ones that aren't scams, but the ones where there's huge multi-billion or bigger use cases. And that's been very successful for me. And I continue to keep doing it and exploring it and learning and also as I'm doing here, I continue to share what I'm learning. So that's very important to me, is that people stay out of the scams, get into things that are useful, and will more quickly see a world that solves many of the problems of money. It's going to be a more economic and efficient and innovative world.
So now when we talk about, altcoins and things like that, explain to people what that is. I think a lot of people don't even understand what that means.
Right. So a lot of people think cryptocurrencies are Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was the first. And that's true. Bitcoin's the first. But like I said earlier, there's many currencies. There's US dollars, there's euros, there's pesos, there's Canadian dollars, there's yen. But why does a Canadian dollar exist and a US dollar exist? It's because at some point there was a border put between Canada and US. It's very artificial. There's no real border between Canada and the US. It should be really all one, it could be all one country. It's just a historical artifact that there's Canadian dollars and US dollars. Cryptocurrencies don't have that. An altcoin solves a problem. Cryptocurrencies have what I call use borders. If there's a problem to be solved, if there's a use, there will be a coin developed to solve it. Now, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that becomes the coin. Bitcoin is great as what's called a store of value, meaning you can put all your wealth in Bitcoin, and it's secure. You don't worry about many of the things many people who put all their money in cash worry about. But Bitcoin, as I mentioned earlier, it's hard to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin. A Bitcoin transaction takes at least 10 minutes to occur. So there are other currencies that might solve that problem. Bitcoin's anonymous. If I buy something from you, it's anonymous. It doesn't have your name or my name on it, but it has the size of the transaction, and that's kept in what's called the blockchain. So everyone sees the transaction, but they don't know who did it. That's anonymous, but not anonymous enough. Maybe I want that transaction size, nobody to see it, or the time. I don't want anyone to see it. Imagine if governments are doing deals together. They want to keep it private. They even want more anonymity than Bitcoin provides. So another coin or two or three might start that try to solve that problem. So whenever there's a problem, cryptocurrencies are perfect because they're software based. You just write new software to solve the problem. If paper currency has a problem, it's not so easy to fix the problem. Like if there's inflation because someone made a bad decision about the US dollar, you can't just automatically fix that. Or if, or a lot of problems in currencies are solved by lawyers. So let's say I sold you something and you sold me something and it's bad. Well, now I have to sue you. And a lawyer is involved in our currency transaction. There are ways in which Bitcoin and some of these altcoins solve even that problem, believe it or not. So contract law is kind of built on top of Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies in a way that I won't get into right now, but that's a whole other area of demand. And a lot of altcoins are coming because they're currencies, but they have built-in contracts associated with them. And so I think contract law and the whole field of law is going to just end or change.
I mean, the landscape is obviously changing so much. I mean, you've given us a lot of information. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, to learn where it's going, where it's headed, it's obviously a lot of time, as you mentioned, to get in.
And I want to answer you. Yeah.
Here we have with us James Altucher. He is an entrepreneur, investor, writer, podcast show, and comedian. He just had a panel speaking about cryptocurrencies. So, Altucher, he is...
Okay, I know a lot of people are going to be turned off by that because a lot of people are not going to kind of understand it, but these kind of what he was talking about there, James Altucher, what he was talking about, it's just going to become common. It's going to become commonplace. You're going to know what these things are. You're going to know what Bitcoin is. You're going to want to know what an ICO is, altcoins and stuff like that. You're going to know about this stuff in the future because it's just going to become part of our everyday lives. Now, I just want to go to a few questions. Now, this is why I was hesitant to kind of play this and talk about this as well. But I just think it's so important that needs to be talked about by people that are not talking about it, by people that don't know about it. I've got into it purely, not purely. I was going to say purely as an investment tool, but that's not true. Because I like the ethos behind it. It's about not being controlled. Cryptocurrency is what they call decentralized. It means there's not one person or one government or one banking system controlling the cryptocurrencies. So we'll take Bitcoin, for example. One person does not control Bitcoin. One group of people does not control Bitcoin. You could go in and get Bitcoin just now for yourself. Nobody controls it. The only thing that controls it is obviously the price of Bitcoin. And that is determined by supply and demand. So as I said, the demand or the supply for Bitcoin is only ever going to be 21 million. So if we think about it that way, we know the price is going to go up in the future as more and more people get into this and learn about cryptocurrencies. So the price is only going to get higher. There'll be lows, there'll be highs, but it's only going to get higher. There's only ever going to be 21 million coins. There cannot be any more put out there. So like fiat currency, like the dollar and the pound and the euro, the government, they just print up more money and it devalues the currency. With Bitcoin, it cannot print off more Bitcoin. Because of the cryptographics in it, because of the cryptography in it, it just cannot print any more than 21 million coins. And this is what makes it a store of value. So I know a lot of people are going to be turned off by this, and I understand that, totally get it. But I just wanted to kind of do this because I think it's so important. So I'm going to look at some questions just now. So if you have any questions, I think I've seen one from Tina Farrar, but I don't know if it's further down. Kathy Baker saying that crypto is thriving in third world countries. Perfect example. So third world countries like Africa, most people in Africa do not have access to a banking system. So it's all controlled by the government and the rich people. But the people on the ground, the people that cannot get access to a banking system, can get access to cryptocurrencies because it's not controlled by the banks. It's not controlled by the governments. So they're not controlling the people. It's the people that are actually getting into crypto and they're creating their own kind of like banking system. That's really what they're doing in Africa just now. And that is a perfect case for the usage of cryptocurrencies. It means everybody has got kind of access to, it's not a banking system in the traditional banking system sense, but everybody's got access to a currency that can go up in value as well. So it's bringing a kind of level playing field to everybody in the world. So it's not only about, because I've seen a lot of comments, oh, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's a lot of shite, to be honest. If that's your mentality, that's what's going to happen. If I'm being really honest, if that's your mentality, the poor are going to get poorer and the rich are going to get richer. But there is a level playing field here. You can get into cryptocurrency just now, and if you bought $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin last year, that $1,000 is going to be $10,000 just now. But if you leave it for another 5 years, that $10,000 is going to be worth $100,000. So it's not about the rich people buying in, because you could have bought in a Bitcoin when it was $100 or $50 or $200. So everybody can get in just now. And as James Altucher said there just now, we're at kind of the base level just now. So we're at inning one, as he described it with baseball. So with inning one, a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. Inning 2, 3, and 4, a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. If you get in inning 9, when everybody's kind of into it and you're just starting to get into it, that's when you're going to kind of lose out. So it's not about the rich, it's not about the poor, because the poor are in it just now. The poor have become rich because of cryptocurrency. So it's not about the rich getting richer or the poor getting poorer. It's about levelling out the playing field. I can't see that comment from Tina Farrar. Jackie Baker, there you go. Top of the morning, mate. Top of the morning to you, Jackie. What else? Jamie Huff, I'm seeing more and more about this. I think it's time to learn more about it. Honestly, that's why I've done this live. It's just to bring to your attention the importance of this. And for you to do your own research. That's what it's about. That's really what it's about, because it is so important. It's not something that's going to go away. It's something that's going to be spoken about more and more and more. And it's going to be top of mind for every single person in the world. In a couple of years' time, everybody's going to be talking about it. Or it's just going to be part of everyday life. That's how much is going to change. And it's just going to change the way we can live our life. El Summers, so worthwhile watching. Thank you, Stephen. Oh, thank you, El. I didn't think a lot of people would like this, to be honest. And I know a lot of people have kind of tuned out, and that's cool. I totally get that. Stephen Webb, you're right about one person country does not control. However, Russia and North Korea, to name just a couple of countries, are putting massive government wealth behind crypto mining. The person with the most will somewhat have control. To a degree, Stephen, yes, to a degree. However, for somebody to have control, so you're right about mining. Russia has these huge power plants that are kind of mining Bitcoin. Huge. So does Korea. But so does America. So does Europe. So does everywhere. That's kind of where it levels out the playing field. However, for you to make the money, if they're going to do this, so for example, if all these people are mining Bitcoins, and mining is just a way of getting Bitcoins through your computer and through kind of setup, a mining setup, if they have the Bitcoin, so say they kind of mine Bitcoins when it's $1,000, it's not going to be worth anything unless they turn it into fiat currency at the moment. Obviously, in 10 years' time, when everything has changed, or the base currency will be Bitcoin or something like that, then it's going to be worth more, but you're taking a bet on that as well. So they would have to sell it into the market in order to get money back, in order to become rich. So that money is now in the market, if that makes sense. And come next year, Bitcoin mining is no longer going to be profitable because it's going to cut the hash rate in half. I know that's kind of terms you're not going to understand just now, but it's no longer going to be profitable and people are going to move on to other cryptocurrencies, if that makes sense. So I get what you're saying, but in order for them to actually turn that into fiat currency, they have to sell it at some stage, thereby putting it into the market again. One second, I'm just going to see. I'm very aware that Maria Flynn's show has just started just now, but I'll go on just now. I don't know, Maria, if you're watching, I don't know if you've started just now. I do apologise for running over. I should have done this earlier because I knew there might be a lot of questions here. Tina Farrar, yeah, my question was, if it's going to take over the world and they're only going to make 21 million, only the rich will survive because there are way over 21 million people in the world. No, again, not necessarily, Tina. And I get your thinking there. So there's 21 million Bitcoins, but within one Bitcoin, there's 100 million Satoshis. So you get $1, that is broken down to 100 cents. So one Bitcoin is broken down into 100 million Satoshis. And that's the denomination for a Bitcoin. So it's named after Satoshi Nakamoto, who kind of invented the Bitcoin. He brought it out. It was him that kind of started the whole movement back in 2008, 2009. So there's units of currency within Bitcoin as well. So it might be one Satoshi. If we look at the fiat currency term, one Satoshi might be worth $10 in, say, 10 years' time. But one Bitcoin might be worth $10 million, if that makes sense. So it's not going to be about the rich kind of getting richer, or the rich are going to control it. The people that are getting into it just now and learning about it, they're not going to control it, but they're going to be more kind of wealthy in the future as well. And there's going to be more use for cryptocurrency. It's not just about a store of value like Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a store of value just like gold is. So when in the 1970s, when you went to a bank, you could go to the bank and say, okay, give me my $100 worth, but I want it in gold. Gold was backing the money. It was called gold standard. So that is what backed fiat currency. So the banks had to have a certain amount of gold in, or the equivalent amount of gold that they had with the money that they had in the bank. The gold standard kind of went away because it was no longer viable. It's just physically it was no longer viable. That's why the gold standard was done away with. Federal Reserve came in for the Americans, and that's why it was all kind of controlled by the government. But what the government do, they just print up more money all the time. The value of the dollar goes down, the value of the pound goes down, the value of the euro goes down because they print up more money. And it's just, look at what happened to Greece, what happened to Italy and Europe as well. It just doesn't work. The currency system doesn't work just now, and it's flawed. Rich get richer, if that's what you're saying. It's the kind of government officials, the banking system like that kind of controlled it all. So it's a huge, huge thing. It's a huge, huge problem. And cryptocurrency, I believe, solves that to a degree. We're not there yet. We've still got a lot of kind of thinking to do on it, but it is happening just now. Maria Flynn, the question is, what do you do honestly when opportunity knocks? Success traits show that the successful take action. I think that's what this is about. When I first seen Bitcoin in 2014, I thought, I don't know what it's about. So I bought 3 Bitcoin for $400 each, and I didn't really pay attention to it. And I thought, I don't know if this is going to take off. And I couldn't wait to sell my Bitcoin because I thought it was going down in value, went down $100 each. And then back in the end of 2014-15, it went up to $600. So I thought, right, I'm getting out. I've made a profit, $200 on each Bitcoin. That's brilliant. $600 profit. Little did I know that it was going to go from $400 to $20,000 per Bitcoin. So if I'd held on to them for $1,200, it could have been up to $60,000. But that's just from an investment point of view. Look at the ethos behind it. It's secure. It's extremely secure. You can be hacked if you've got it on your computer and things like that. But it's secure in the sense that if you send somebody Bitcoin, that it's not going to get hacked on the way to getting sent to that person. If you hold it in a wallet or an exchange or something like that, it can get hacked, obviously. You just have to take precaution, just like you do with money. You wouldn't leave your money or kind of dollars lying about kind of on your driveway or something like that. So it's just the same with cryptocurrency as well. So when you see an opportunity like this, do you say to yourself, okay, I've got £10,000 in my pension that's not really working for me. I'm getting 1% a year. I've got £10,000 in a savings account. And for that £10,000, what am I getting for it? I'm getting £100 every year. And you go, stuff that. I'm going to put a certain amount, I'm going to put a certain percentage of my savings into cryptocurrency. You don't go all in. Me, I'm kind of all or nothing. I've kind of went all in with cryptocurrency, I have to admit. I've got a pension, I've got a house and stuff like that as well, but I've kind of gone all in with that. So you don't do that. You just be cautious. So if you put say £1,000 in 10% of your savings or something like that, and say it was $1,000, you keep it. You just keep hold of the Bitcoin. And if it's worth $20,000 in 2 years' time, fantastic. Fantastic. You've made off it, and you've made much more than you've made up the other 90% of your savings. So it is an opportunity to get in, and this is why I just want everybody to know about it. I'm not an expert on it. I've just learned a lot about it. And I just love for everybody else to know about it as well. Maria Flynn, I'll start with you. And thank you so much, Maria. I really appreciate this. I just think this is really, really important. And it's not for my benefit. It's not for you to buy kind of my program. Obviously, I've got programs about cryptocurrency for smart people, it's called. But I wanted to do this live as well, just because I just really think it's that important. Maria Flynn, fascinated. Julie Brett, I've missed most of this, but just tuned in and new to this page. Oh, brilliant. Welcome, Julie. You can watch the replay. If you click on live videos on the right-hand side of this page, you'll be able to see this replay. Laurie Christine Swanson, now I want your Bitcoin course. I'll put a link up. As I said, it wasn't about that, and I honestly swear it's not about you buying the program. It's about you kind of becoming aware of how much this is going to change the world. And the more you do research on it, the more you'll find out that is going to be the case. 1 second. I just put a link up here. But what you can do is obviously do your own research as well on kind of YouTube and places like that as well. Just do a lot of the research for yourself and just find out more about it, because it is really going to benefit you. Put a link up there just now. As I said, it's not about that. It's just to make you aware of it. I've just got into this so much and I've been researching it so much, and I wanted to make a course on it just to make people much more, the people like you and me that don't really know about kind of stuff like this, or we wouldn't normally find out until it's too late. This is not too late. This is just the beginning of it as well. Estela Munoz, I know you were saying it's like a second language. It'll become second nature, honestly. And thank you for thanking me as well. I know it doesn't sound terribly exciting, but it really is just an exciting time to be in. And we're at the very beginning of this stage. We're at the very beginning of almost the world pre-contemplation stage that I was talking about at the beginning, because most people don't know about it. And if you get to know about it, even if you put kind of $100 a month into it, just to say, okay, I'm in it. I'm in the game. I've got skin in the game. Not that much, but you're in the game and you kind of learn about it. You know about it. You know what it's about. It's just about educating ourselves as well. Leticia Lovano, who supports this currency? The dollar, the peso, the yen, and any currency are backed by the treasures of the nation that produces it. The national treasures are gold, silver, oil, and land, which supports the value of this currency. We support it. We, the people, support it, and that is the basis of cryptocurrency. We, the people, support it. So it's all about supply and demand. So if you want to sell me a Bitcoin, I'm going to buy it off you for $8,000. If I want to sell you one next year, I might sell it to you for $10,000. So it goes up. So it's we, the people, back it. So it's nothing to do with government. It's nothing to do with the shitty wars in Afghanistan and likes of that, which is kind of pretending to kind of defend the country. It's not. It's all about oil. So it's nothing to do with oil, nothing to do with the dollar, nothing to do with gold. Gold, your money is not backed by gold anymore. It used to be under the gold standard, but it's not backed by gold anymore. It's backed by the Federal Reserve, and they produce money whenever they want. They can produce more money, which devalues your money. Same with the peso, same with the pound, same with the euro as well. Sorry, I get a bit passionate about this, because it's just the system is so flawed. So flawed. And as the government, they control us. The banking system control us. The big guys that are in the know control us. Cryptocurrency is not that at all. It's not the big guys that control it. They'll probably come in and buy up as much as they can, and they'll try and control it, but ultimately it's only controlled by we, the people. I hope that makes sense. Okay, that was a wee bit rant there, a little bit of a rant, so I do apologise. I just get really passionate about this. I'll just see if there's any. Kimberly ID man, it's not guaranteed, correct? Of course it's not guaranteed. Definitely it's not guaranteed. I'm not saying 100% this is what's going to happen. I believe 100% is going to happen. Just my belief. I'm just hoping to make you aware of the changes that are occurring just now. And I want to give you one last thing to think about. The stock market just now has got about $40 trillion invested in the stock market. $40 trillion invested in the stock market. A lot of that money is going to come out and go to cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency just now has $400 billion invested in the whole of cryptocurrency. It's there. Now, people seeing the stock market, a lot of people are saying Bitcoin is in a bubble. The stock market is in a bubble, I believe, because we've gone up and up and up and up, and you're getting 12% every single year. But a lot of people are going to take the money out of the stock market and put it into cryptocurrency, and that flow of money is going to move away from the stock market and go into cryptocurrency. And I believe that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening just now, as well. Guaranteed, Kimberly? No, it's not guaranteed. We cannot guarantee anything. I cannot guarantee I'm going to be here tomorrow. You cannot guarantee anything. This is a process of change as well, realizing that you cannot guarantee anything in life. Okay, I'm going to leave it there just now. I just think that's really important. Really important. I hope it kind of made you more aware of what's kind of happening just now behind the scenes. And I hope it makes you do your own research. That's ultimately what I want to do. I just want for you to do your own research, not take my word for it, and just look at what's happening underpinning in the world just now. A lot of people don't know. At least you now know, and you can do your own research and make up your own mind about it. Okay, I'm going to leave it there just now. If you jump over to One Wise Life, Maria's kindly waited for me to stop waffling on about this until she does a show. So thank you very much for joining me today, and thanks for listening, for all your comments and questions as well. Truly appreciate you. And I'll see you tomorrow with a TED Talk day. Okay, see you soon. Namaste. Bye now.